Hey everyone, welcome back to Module 2.
We did it.
We did it. Congratulations. This is the series of intro videos that Katrina and I thought would be fun to create, so just give an overview of what we'll be exploring and some of the things that we've really been interested in really talking with you all about and unpacking. So Katrina, what is in store for Module 2?
So in Module 2, we're going to take that those KSAs, those knowledge, skills, and abilities that we talked about, and we're going to look at the position description, and we're going to try to make a finalized draft that you can refer to that talks about, a format of doing that job description, a way of sort of thinking about how all of those different components come together, and then we're going to kind of ask ourselves, like, okay, so what's next? This idea of sourcing, right? If you've done a lot of search process in the past, you've probably got like a spreadsheet somewhere that has all of these places you typically post. And so we're going to dive into that spreadsheet. We're going to say, okay, where are all these things that you think are a given, and why might they be a given in this case? Or what is missing from that? Where are there gaps? How do we start to really understand the network that surrounds this role? And Tim, you have a really neat way of saying that, it's that kind of second ring outside of the kind of direct community of the role where so many interesting candidates come from, because it takes, a really kind of basic level of understanding about the role, and then actually allows for a lot of creativity and saying, like, who might I know, or who might know somebody else who this could be really, interesting for. So that process of mapping all the connections in the network and looking at that finalized piece really helps us to think about, okay, where aren't we asking? Or who else do we need to check in with before we get that kind of complete list of where we're going to be posting this position? From there, we're going to kind of draft a little bit of a plan and hopefully, have ways that we can include a lot of people in helping with that outreach.
One of the fun parts about this phase of the process is I often think of a hiring process, like this phase of the hiring process, as a marketing campaign. You're trying to create things that attract people to this role, that people whose knowledge, skills, and abilities align with this role. And often, personally, I've found that as a helpful reframe. I'm not just posting this stuff to hire people, but how can you create different media that people can connect with, that might speak to them in different ways, that uncover different bits and pieces of the organization, that do end up with candidates in sort of your funnel, but at the same time gives so much more information to members of your community that also include members of your staff. So this stage of the process, really thinking about how can we use video? How might we use a podcast interview? How can we use different quotes from people or different images that are in our organization to create a campaign that really brings to life this role in a different way? And what we found is that doing that extra work really separates companies. And we found that, and they've told us, some candidates only applied to the role. Some really qualified candidates were interested in the role in the organization because it's different, because they learn so much more about the organization, about the role, about the importance of the role in the organization before they even decide if they wanted to apply. And so I think this is one of the really cool things that I'm excited to explore with the course, with everyone in the course, because there are so many different ideas that people have about how to do this, what they've tried, what works. And that's one of the fun things to really create something new, right? It's like, all right, you did this, you did that. Oh, I can see how we could retool that a little bit in our organization and make it unique or bespoke to us, that really bring the opportunities to life.
And I think in that coming to life, Tim, one of the things that I really love about this part of the work is that the organization is also experiencing something different. We're imagining what it could look and feel like out in the world, but there's also an element of this that's like, this might work. And we've never done it like this before. And so there's excitement that comes with that. And there's some nervousness and, as we test some of those different pieces. And so just even holding that container and saying, if we want things to move into different space in the future, the best way to kind of ensure that that can happen is to actually experience an alternative of the way that you typically do it. And so that's where we'd be asking, in this module, where can we step outside of that? What does typical storytelling for the organization in these roles really look like? And how do we bring other perspectives into that so that candidates and those within the organization experience the organization a little bit differently so that that intrigues them about the position and the process?
Yeah, so that's module 2. That's what we'll be exploring in module 2, and we'll really be diving into. So we'll see you then, and we'll see you in the next video for module 3.